Okay, hey guys, welcome to another review. And I did not expect myself to be watching this one. So this is a Korean drama, and it's not your typical Korean drama because it is a horror zombie apocalypse story. And I always love zombie apocalypses. I think it's one of the things that I like. And it's not so much about the zombies. For me personally, I'm not a big zombie maniac, but I'm a big apocalypse maniac, and the end of the world pressure and the concept of how society will be collapsing on itself, and you gotta outsmart people and the things around you to survive. I think that kind of aspect always intrigued me, and whether I would survive or not, I definitely survived this series, and I think it was okay, a decent series. Is it worth its time for a watch? I think it had some great moments. It is 12 episodes long, and I think about half of the episodes were actually quite good. And why I say that is because there are some episodes that are just way too draggy. And I'm talking Walking Dead draggy, right? And Walking Dead is one of my favorite all time zombie series. I think it's just perfect. The way The Walking Dead has that whole drama and concept, and how else would you drag a zombie apocalypse series if not the way The Walking Dead did, right? You can't have everything be action packed. You can't have every episode have horror or what do you call this mysterious elements, because then when the horror and mystery does happen, it wouldn't be intense enough. But when you're making a 12 episode single series, I think you'd expect things to be a little more compact, a little more intense, and a little more challenging. Whereas in this one, there are some great episodes, as I said, half of it, so about six very, very strong episodes. Very tense episodes, very challenging episodes. You have some great moments where you do have a lot of people running around, being chased by zombies, toppling over each other, scrambling, screaming, and basically trying to survive a zombie outbreak that takes place in a high school. um, so those episodes are absolutely brilliant. And then there are some episodes of drama where you have some really nice moments of characters showing their twisted, like the concept that people are inertly just bad. And it's played by one famous Korean actress, the same one from Squid Game, who actually dies, sacrifices herself for her friend. In this one, she's a complete villain, and she's a very irritating one, by the way. She does that really well. The irritating part, she's, I think, got it down 10 out of 10. But she does this thing where there's this guy who she doesn't like, just because he's like a poor guy or whatever, and she just like finds him like totally not something that she likes. And so what she does is, that guy actually protects the group, or sort of the troop that's stuck in a classroom, and his arm gets scratched, and she blames, saying that he's infected. This girl, the one in pink, so she blames, saying that he's infected. So in order to prove his innocence, they lock him up in another room. And so finally they tell her, see, he didn't turn into a zombie. Can you go and apologize to him? And before she goes to him to apologize, she actually takes her handkerchief and rubs it around a stick that was used to stab a zombie, and thus the zombie's blood is on her handkerchief. And she uses that to wipe his hand, pretending to apologize to him and be nice to him, only to realize that she has sent the zombie infection through the scratch on his arm to infect him, thus turning into a zombie and eventually killing him, and makes her a murderer. It's a good thing that the team actually had someone who witnessed it, but moments like that are really twisted and really creepy, and I think that was done brilliantly well. I think it was very dark and very, very scary, and to know that there are really real bad people out there, just in general, in terms of their nature and their character, and bullies per se, because I think this is more of a coming of age story. And this guy, especially, he acts as a bully throughout the story. He actually strips a girl, takes a video of her, and then after that bullying incident, the zombie apocalypse happens. And for somehow, by the perfect chain of events, he turns out to be the guy who's actually immune to the apocalypse. So he does get infected, but he turns into sort of a semi-zombie, where he is infected, he is strong, he has all of the zombie abilities to fall down and recover and not really die and all of that. But at the same time, he is still capable of controlling himself, making his own decisions, and of course, no other zombie is going to attack him. So it really bumps up the bully to be even more dangerous of a bully, when it turns out that he's immune and he's going to keep coming for you, and so they have to find a way to stop him as well. I think it had some great moments like that, giving weight to certain characters, giving moments that were well deserved to certain characters, especially this guy. I think he's pretty much the main character of the story. And he does a really good job of just being in the limelight, doing his things, running around, trying to survive, trying to keep his friends not only alert and keeping making conscious decisions, but also protecting them and being just a sweetheart to this girl who he's in love with. And things change when there's also another character, very important one, who is the class president. And this is the girl who gets bullied, who gets stripped, and a video recorded of her. She wants to suicide very early on, and this guy is coming to like coax her, telling her like, "Hey, don't suicide. I actually love you. Let's try to live through this. Let's just pray he doesn't post the video he took, the bully took, and whatever." And then the apocalypse breaks, and things change when they realize the apocalypse has started, and they decide not to commit suicide for a while. And yeah, so this girl, I think, is the class president, and I think she's the one who also turns out to be another semi-infected zombie, and so she also retains her zombie strength and whatever, but she does build hunger over time. The bully actually bites people as to sort of feed his hunger, but she actually controls herself, and she actually helps the team by fighting off zombies multiple times, fighting off the bully even, and just being a very well-developed character throughout the story. I think overall the character development in the drama aspect is really done for the kids, the class students who are actually trapped. But the adults, I felt really just felt very shallow. Their personalities just being very sort of monotonous. This guy on the right hand side is actually the father, who is a what do you call this? A sort of a person who used to work for some biochemical laboratory, and he was kicked out or something, or he dropped out, and basically became a high school chemistry teacher. And he actually is the first one to start the zombie apocalypse because he wants to save his child. And turns out that the infection gets out of control, and his children become zombies, and then he's basically the start of all of it. Besides him, everyone else had a very flat and monotonous character for the adults. But for the high school kids, I think all of the actors, this guy plays like a sort of a high school jock who used to be a bully, not anymore, and is very good at fighting, very very alert and very protective character. He and this other guy, they're both very good friends, and their friendship sort of makes them the two alpha males in the story that protect everyone. So he likes the class president girl who turns into a semi-zombie, and then the other guy likes the other girl, basically. So as for the other characters, I think they all did their parts. There were some characters who were just pretty much the background throughout, and I think, yeah, this girl, background. So yeah, there are a lot of characters who were very much in the background to give limelight to a lot of others. But I think the focus was done pretty well. And the mix of the different stories between the bullying, the friendships, the tension, the character building, and how people sort of have to change in order to survive the apocalypse. But you don't see it that much. You see more of the character development being affected by events between their friends anyway, and not so much by the apocalypse. The apocalypse is not the reason things happen. And I think that's interesting because I think that was a very conscious decision by the director. I think they wanted to make sure that you get the drama aspect, but it's not because of the apocalypse. It's things that would have happened anyway. It's just that the apocalypse was a reasonable catalyst in order to make things happen. This guy acts as a father for one of the girls who ends up caught in the apocalypse in the school. He's a firefighter, and he's actually quite capable of taking on even some military soldiers. I think he's probably had some military training back in his day, and he definitely shows it. And very strong character who goes to try to save his daughter. But that's all he is. He's a very strong character who tries to go and save his daughter, sacrifices himself in the end, a very important moment in order to help her. I think it was very emotional and great, but that's about it. That's all his character goes through. He spends a lot of time with a bunch of VIPs, and that entire story I feel just falls really flat. Um, but I think that's basically it generally. Um, so to get the gist of the plot, basically the zombie apocalypse breaks out in the school. A bunch of students get affected. Some students get transported to the local hospital where everyone else gets infected, and then the rest of the town gets infected. And a lot of these people actually know that it's a zombie apocalypse. Like they know the word zombie and they know things like that exist. And it seems like they want to make it very relatable, like a today's sort of thing, where what would really happen if it takes place today. Like people would be really aware that, oh, this is a zombie virus, zombie apocalypse is what's happening. And it took them a while to understand it and figure it out, but they didn't really outsmart the zombies throughout. Like they do have moments where they actually sit down and sort of brainstorm whether it's the noise or the smell, or sight, what exactly ticks off the zombies, what makes them alert. But they never really figure out a way to counter the zombies other than just needing to smash their heads in, or try to push them off high places, or just basically that. They have no way of fighting back specifically per se. So it's more so about the survival aspect and about how the police squad who sends, or rather the military who come to actually get the research information of that chemistry teacher left in the school. When they come to the school, they actually realize that there are survivors, but they're told to leave the survivors behind because they can't really tell those who are symptomatic and asymptomatic to whether they are actually infected. Because some of them, as I said, they become these sort of semi zombies, so they are asymptomatic, but all of a sudden they can flip the switch and go into zombie mode where they're really strong. Their eyes turn red and they show brute force and strength. And then they can go back to being absolutely normal and just becoming a very hungry individual. So the military decide to abandon these people behind. Where they have to fend for themselves, and yeah, it's a very well written story, I would say. But it has certain episodes that are just a little bit too draggy, that fall shallow. Some characters who just can't seem to balance out because I think there's just too many people to try to show. And I think it's great for the most part because we do know, yes, it is a high school, so you're going to have a bunch of characters, and you do need to have people constantly dying to give you that fear that the stakes are high. But as a result, they have a lot of characters who are there, who are developed, and they don't really have a very good send off. And yeah, to be fair, it is pretty well done. I think, yeah, this photo is pretty much the main cast who really did their job, right? And this girl, all she does is just be super annoying. There's nothing else she does. It's this guy, this bully guy. I think he's the bully guy, actually. Yeah, it looks pretty good, by the way. And these two girls. Basically, these five people are like the main characters, and everyone else is sort of supporting actors for them. And they did a really good job. This big guy, he does a pretty good job of being just a big guy throughout the story. Being a good fighter, helping people out, not being too much of a scared guy. He actually takes risks. This is the guy that got betrayed and turned into a zombie by that really crazy girl. So yeah, there are some really great moments. Violence, yes, of course, very well done. Zombie apocalypse. Is there any sex scenes or anything like that? No, not really. No nudity, in fact. Just some very intense bullying scenes, I would say. But totally watchable for anyone 18 and above. Super fun, I would say. So overall, I think this is a pretty enjoyable series. I think for a zombie apocalypse high school series, I think we've been having a void in this genre for a while, and I think this one really feeds that sort of thing that we've been missing. And I really want more of these, whether it's Korean or any other language. I'll be more than happy to check out another zombie apocalypse series. I think this was pretty well done. I just wish that all 12 episodes delivered as well as each other. I think that is the only complaint that I have, and it's something that TV series generally suffer from. They can't seem to balance out their episodes very well because they just want to have one episode where they're doing nothing but character building, and I think that shouldn't be the case. I think they need to learn to sort of just give it a bit of balance. In fact, some episodes did have that balance. It had both the running and hiding and chasing and killing zombies, to the character development, to the romance aspect, to the mystery aspect, the horror aspect. Some episodes were so well packed and so well done. And just out of curiosity, let me actually look at some of these review ratings. Like some of these, as you can see, 8.0s, 8.0s. You can really see that there are some differences in the rating between certain episodes. I think the first one should get a slightly higher rating, honestly. It was a very well built up episode to sort of put things into the picture. And I think ever since then, the second, third one did really well. Probably the fourth, fifth, sixth sort of dragged out a little bit. And then we had some good development episodes. I think ninth was really the military part was just super boring. 9, 10. Yeah, 11 and 12, I think were really well done. The finales were pretty good, the last two episodes. Yeah, so overall for me, I think all of us are dead. Let me just pull up a rating here for you. Da-da-da. Okay, let me put this out here. It's a 6 out of 10 for me. All right. It can be a 5, it can be a 7. I honestly think a 6 is fair. But if you ask me, overall, through some of the weaker episodes, it's probably a 4 or 5. But some of the better episodes are actually a 6 or 7. So I'm just going to give it a 6 because I honestly think that it was pretty refreshing to see a zombie apocalypse TV series after such a long time. And it was very well done for a zombie apocalypse one. It's just that I wish it had a better, like a more holistic story where they were actually able to fight back, or perhaps had more intelligent military, and we actually saw some sort of like a huge revelation or a like an epic moment for a character or something like that, but I didn't really get it. And you know what? I'm going to minus a point just for that, just because I think that there are just better ones out there. And you may ask me, oh, really? What are the better ones? I mean, even Army of the Dead was, I think, just better than this. Even though this is a series, you may think that's difficult to compare, but it was better. Train to Busan is definitely better than this. I think that Brad Pitt zombie movie was actually better than this, even though some people may not have liked it. Um, yeah, I think a lot of zombie stories are generally better than this still. But the fact that this was a nice high school series, and the fact that it has a lot of other character development and drama going on, maybe if you're a fan of the Korean drama aspect and the coming of age sort of story, I think the 6 out of 10 would stand. Otherwise, it's probably a 5. But anyway, you know what? I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt and leave it at a 6 just because I think it's something that might be rewatchable someday, perhaps. But if you ask me, I may not rewatch it just because I think that it is a little bit too boring for me in some of those episodes. But it has some great moments throughout. And yeah, I'm going to leave it between a 5 or 6, or maybe a 5.5. But yeah, it's probably just it. So anyway, if you ask me, I do recommend you guys to watch this if you're fans of a zombie apocalypse and probably K-drama. But if you're not a fan of either, I think you'll probably find it falling short of your expectation. And I think that's the most honest way I can put it. So that's it from me for this one. I'll probably come back with another recent series that I watched that was pretty interesting. But I'm really excited to see more, series that are not English because I do believe they have a lot of potential. And I think I've one that I recently watched that was pretty interesting. I want to talk to you guys about. But I'll keep it a surprise and I'll probably be back in the next one for it. So, yep, that's it from me. Take care, guys.